Thank you for joining me on this video, okay? And I thought I'd share why I'm a huge advocate for mental health, and I've decided to be vulnerable in my video so you understand me better as a person. And this basically is a story on how addictions ruined my life, and if I can inspire change in one person around the world and let them know that it's never too late to change your life around, okay? And I know everyone has their own unique story with addictions, so I'm just going to showcase my story, be vulnerable, be open and honest. And yeah, as I said, if I can touch someone's heart around the world and inspire change in them, then I'm happy, and that's my purpose in this life. So that's why I make content based around, mental health, addictions, improvement, good habits, just all in all, I just make content where I can just inspire and help others. So this is my story and my upbringing around domestic violence. So, I've witnessed domestic violence from the age of probably 5 all the way through to my early 20s. And I grew up in a household where, I've got a sister, a mother and a father, and my father has battled addictions with alcohol, okay, for a long time. And, I'm not trying to talk negatively about my father or anything like that. I love him to death. I'll do anything for him to this day. It's just, I need to be honest and, share my upbringing, because that's what led me to having the wrong role models later in life, and it destroyed my life, for a long time, until I was able to stop playing the victim mindset and just face whatever problems I had. And now that I've faced my problems, I'm in a much better headspace in life. I'm happy, I've forgiven those that have hurt me, and it's allowed me to just reconnect in life and just be a better person all around. So my upbringing, from the age of 5, as I said, all the way through to about my early 20s, okay, I was in a household with domestic violence. So my father would continuously yell, at the females in my house. He wouldn't aim domestic violence or yell it directly towards me. Obviously, if I did something wrong as a kid, he'd get pissed off, but generally I was like his favorite son. And it saddens me that I have to even share this story, but more or less by him, verbally abusing and abusing my mother, and then later on in life abusing my sister, just brought trauma to my upbringing. Like it just sort of scarred my mind, and I grew up with a lot of anxiety. And I just even remember just being, even from the age of I think 5 years old, I vividly remember this, me and my sister, because I've got an older sister, and I remember, and she's about 7 years apart from me, so I vividly remember this memory, and there was plenty of times where there was always domestic violence issues in my house, but I vividly remember this one memory where my mum and my father were arguing. When they argue for, it's not a 10-minute argument, they argue for hours, like a tennis match. And when they're both in that arguing mindset, they don't consider other people around them. And when they always yell, even if you're there, they still continue to yell, and it just it mentally scarred me. But going back to this story, so I remember vividly in my mind, me and my older sister, we were both young at the time. We were sitting there on the couch, and my parents would argue, they would argue. And when I say argue, it's not like a little small verbal argument. My dad would be screaming off his lungs, calling my mum every name under the sun. And on top of that, my dad has an alcohol addiction, okay? He's not a complete drunk, but he has been drinking daily for 30 years, I would say. And he's been masking his pain that way. And I just remember him at this time when me and my sister were just sitting there, just both innocent kids. He was just yelling and yelling and yelling at my mum. And, I eventually saw, him hit my mother, and just being so innocent and not being able to do anything, it just really like, it traumatized me from a young age. And there's been countless arguments like that where my dad's verbally abused and abused my mother. And my mum's not one to back down either. She will start barking back, but being a man, you need to control your emotions. You can't let certain things like that get to you, where you escalate and yell and cause trauma to other people, that you bring into this world, because it also has an effect on their upbringing as well. So vividly seeing that, it just brought, like, me and my sister were just crying and we were just seeing that, and they would just continue to yell. And yeah, there was so many times, growing up like that, where things would be so good in the household, like we did loving things together as a family, but I felt like there was just a real subdivide with all the negative arguments and so forth growing up. So my upbringing, was good, and then it was so bad. So I remember when I was in my, like, fast forward to sort of my early high school years, my mum would, because she started off as like a housewife, she'd take us to school, she'd feed us, and my dad would be the one to work. He worked hard. He worked 2 to 3 jobs just to send us to school, to put a roof over our head, and just to make sure that we were all fed and we were all looked after. So I praise him for being a man doing that. But the real trauma for me that kicked in was more or less when I was in my high school years, and my mum, she had to work, so we could pay the bills, and we needed more income as inflation arose, and things got more expensive. And I just remember my sister at this time, she just finished high school, and she got a boyfriend, and this boyfriend was someone that my dad didn't approve of. Okay, and for about a good 4 years, or a good 3 to 4 years, there was like daily consistent domestic violence in my household with my dad and my sister, because my mum wasn't around because she'd work night shift. And I just remember being in high school, like, I'd come home and my dad would always finish work at about 7 o'clock, and as soon as he'd come home, he'd just start arguing with my sister, arguing. And when I say arguing, like, I mean, he would be screaming at the top of his lungs, calling her every dirty name under the sun. And I could hear this because I'd be in my room, and you can hear when someone's yelling in your household. And my dad would have a drink, and then he would start yelling at my sister, and then, like, he'd hit her. And this went on, like, I would say, like, every second day of the week would be domestic violence in my household between my dad and my sister. And I love my sister to death. She's a beautiful woman. She's strong. She overcame her issues with my dad. She's forgiven him, and she's in a better mental state now. She's happily married and so forth. But going back to my upbringing, in high school, there was consistent yelling for years and years, and having that in the household, I would call my house a danger house, where I didn't want to even come home. So I'd finish school, and then I wouldn't go home. I would just hang out with the kids on the streets. So basically we had like a group of, like, there was like 40, 50 of us, young kids that all came from broken homes, like parents that had addictions, single parent households. And, we'd all find love with each other and just, hang with each other after school. We'd drink, we'd meet up with girls, and, sometimes we'd smoke weed, and it just started off like that in high school. It's just like all good kids, like good-hearted kids, all with problems at home, and we all just hung with each other. And for me, that was the most exciting time of my life. Like, I hated school. I just purely wanted to finish school and just hang with everyone after school, and just, that was my only time to be happy. Yeah, like, that was my only time to be happy, because I knew as soon as I went home, it's going to be danger, and it's going to be walking into a domestic violence household. And it was just so traumatizing for me. Like, it would just bring me anxiety and so forth. So I guess we hung around the wrong kids. We had the wrong influences in our life from a young age, from high school. And going back to my dad and my sister, fast forwarding a couple of years, because this went on for a good 3 to 4 years, like this, every second day, yelling, constant domestic violence. And my sister eventually, broke up with that guy that my dad didn't approve of. Then she found another guy and my dad didn't approve of him. And, I remember my dad would call that guy and say, "Don't fucking see my daughter anymore, you motherfucker." Like, he would be so evil and so mean, and my sister's just young, she's like probably at this stage, like 21, yeah. I remember vividly the worst fight, and this is what broke me. I remember this day. I was in high school, and I was in like my last year of high school, and I remember my dad yelling so much with my sister, breaking holes in the wall in the house, and he told my sister, "Get the fuck out of the house." He put suitcases there, and I don't know if it was a scare tactic or some sort, because my dad just wanted full control over my sister's life, and he was just a very controlling man. Like, he was good to me, but me witnessing this side to him actually just, when you see people do good things and then they do so much bad and hurt, it's almost like you forget the good things and all you remember is just the pain and the agony and the trauma. And it was just a really, really bad time in my life. And I just remember when my dad would yell, I would just cover my ears with the pillow and I would just start crying, and I'd be in high school and I'd just start fucking crying and just pray that I wouldn't be, I wish I came from a different family, a family with love. Like, we didn't grow up with love in a sense where no one told each other, "I love you," or, no one gave each other a hug, or it was a real broken family. Yeah, I would say, we did go on holidays together, but I would say it would just be a real broken family. And yeah, just going back to that time where my dad pulled the suitcase out and told my sister to get the fuck out, my sister was that hurt and that traumatized. I remember just standing there in our house and, I was about 10 meters away, and not knowing what to do, what to say. My sister just started packing her bags, and I remember her saying these words like, "All right, I love you, and I can't be here anymore." And at this time I had a little brother, because my parents, my mum gave birth to my little brother, and at this stage he was probably about 3-4 years old, so he experienced this trauma as well from a young age. Poor kid, yeah. And I remember him standing at the staircase, just sitting there in like so sad and just not knowing what's going on. And I myself as well, stood there and was like, fuck. I just remember my sister packing, and I was like, when you get that feeling where, like, someone's so hurt and they're not coming back. Yeah, well, I knew my heart, like, my sister's not coming back, because the way she packed her bag, she took every single thing out of her room, and she packed her bags, she packed her car, and she left. And that was the last time my sister ever came back, and she's never lived with us since. And thank God, the man that she moved out with is her husband till this day. And, he's such a good man. He's protected and looked after my sister, and he's copped so much shit from my father, but he stayed so strong when he could have walked away, okay? He wasn't weak. He stayed strong for my sister, and I respect him so much as a man. And my sister moved out of home, and she found peace with this person. And after she left the home, my dad still tried to control my sister, and he would verbally abuse her, and I think he was just at a stage where he was worried that he had no control over my sister. And that she decided to start a life on her own. And because he's done so much mental trauma to her, I knew for a fact that she's not coming home anymore, and she's definitely not going to put herself in a household full of, you know, mental stress, mental trauma. I praise my sister that she didn't go off the rails to drugs. She didn't, you know, she could have easily done that. Like, she's basically the person that copped it mainly, and she decided that she can't stay in this household. It's too painful. And, you know, God bless my sister for having the courage to move out, because that was the best move she ever did. And now she's got 3 healthy children. She's living a very happy life with her husband. And I'm so proud and so happy of my sister, yeah? So going back to the stages where after my sister moved out, my dad would consistently yell with my mother, you know, like, and saying, you know, this is your fault, you need to sort this out, you know, something along the lines of that. I can't remember the exact words, but I was just mentally traumatized at this stage. Like, so I decided, you know, I had a girlfriend at this stage, and she was 5 years older than me, and like, fuck, every time I'd hang with her and her family, it would just be love, you know. They'd be sitting at the dinner table, like, you know, saying I love you, and like, you know, this was an ethnic family as well, you know. She was Spanish, but she had so much family culture, and I was just like, wow, like, this is so beautiful to be around, like, you know. So I'd always spend majority of my time with her and her family, and I felt like this was my new family, you know. But unfortunately, because I grew up with so much mental trauma, I didn't know how to love properly, and I was very insecure, okay, in that relationship. And eventually, after 2-3 years, that relationship died. And during being with her, my you know, I did meet, I guess, the older boys who were role model father figures to me. Like, if I had any problems, like growing up, you know, like if I needed money, or if I needed, you know, just anything like that, they would help me out, right? Like, they were like my father. And after I broke up with that girl, it mentally traumatized me. It like hurt my heart so much, because like, it's like I didn't know how to express love, but I was insecure. So I was like the wrong person for her, yeah? And after breaking up with her and being so torn, you know, and during this stage I was working in sales, like I was selling mobile phones and stuff like that. So like working for a company called Vodafone. So I was always working from the ages of like 18 all the way through, you know, for years on end after that. But more or less at that stage of my life, I was so heartbroken, so empty, like, didn't know how to deal with problems, didn't know how to deal with issues, and then dealing with anxiety and so forth. It was so much to bear. Like, I just felt sick, yeah. So like, what happened was, that's when I was introduced to speed, and then I was hanging around people who were also facing, you know, issues in life, but I was hanging around the older boys, and you know, they were pushing, you know, speed and ice and stuff like that. And I decided to use, and miraculously, that at that point in my life, you know, those drugs helped me. They actually made me stop thinking about my ex-girlfriend. It made me numb the pain. Yeah, that's the best way I could say it. It numbed my pain. It made me not think about her. Okay, and I was kind of hooked on that feeling, right? So I just kept using, and I wasn't like a daily user, but you know, at the start when you use drugs, it doesn't affect you that badly. Like, it's sort of like a recreational drug, but eventually when you do these heavy drugs, after a while and years of abuse, it does take a toll on you. So, you know, early 20s, you know, all the way through to about 30, you know, I was using, like, it'd be weed, it would be speed, it would be ice, like meth, and on top of that, using Xanax to fall asleep. And yeah, like, you know, I was always working, so I wasn't like a fucking drug addict where I would just sit at home or do anything like that. Like, you know, we'd take drugs, we'd go to rave events, we'd go to like parties, we'd go to like nightclubs, and you know, we were in the scene. Like, there was a fair few of us boys, and there was also girls, and these girls were using drugs. So we're all like a circle, yeah, of like lost kids with the wrong fucking choices in life, and my drug addiction spiraled more out of control as I got older. Fast forwarding a couple of years, years and years down the track, like after recreationally using like once every weekend, twice every weekend, especially using a strong drug like meth, it will keep you up for so many days, and then you need to sleep for like a couple of days as well. So it's a very strong drug, yeah, I'm telling you, it's a very addictive, highly addictive, and increases your dopamine by so much. So I was using that, and then having the circle of friends around me. I had good mates, but eventually later on in my teens, they stopped hanging around me because my addictions got really bad, and they could see my life spiraling, and I was living a double life, and fast forward, let's say to about 27, I decided, okay, I'm gonna get a girlfriend, okay, and I'm going to change, and I'm sick of this life, because every time I'd use, I'd always feel guilty, or I'd feel like shit, thinking like, fuck, this is like, I would get anxiety even like going to like, one of the boys' houses that would sell, and thinking, fuck, this is so morally wrong, yeah, but like I would just do it because I just was tied up in the wrong circle, and I was addicted. I was addicted to that feeling of band-aiding issues. So fast forward to about 27 years old, I then met this girl, on a dating website, and, she was looking for love, I was looking for love, and I just thought, fuck, okay, let's give this a go. She was a very genuine, sweet girl, and I didn't use for about a month at this stage, yeah, so I was completely clean. But unfortunately, I didn't clean up my friends. I had a bad circle of friends around me who were using on a daily basis, and I was just basically like still addicted to kind of the street life, as well as having a girlfriend, and I was living a double life. Like, she didn't know about my drug use. I hid it from her. So when I was with her, I was not on drugs. When I was not with her, I'd be with the boys, and we'd be fucking running mucks on drugs. And I hid this for a good couple of months until she started busting me on my mobile phone, messaging other women. And, these messages weren't pleasant. They were fucking real low messages, like real sexual messages. And she caught on my phone a couple of times. And the first couple of times I made the dumb excuse of saying, oh no, it was my mate who used my phone, because I didn't want to lose her, right? Like, I was just so hooked on this cycle of drug abuse and dependency, I guess, that I just lied to her, and I just sounded like a complete fucking idiot, like a complete liar. And, she would cry, like, I hurt her fucking feelings so much, yeah, and I feel so fucking bad to this day. But she forgave me, and she had her own place, so I would stay with her. And we were together for a good 4 or 5 years, yeah? So we were together for a long time. Like, so you could imagine my drug use was going on from the start of the relationship all the way towards the end, and she still took me in. She thought she could change me. It was like I was a good-hearted person with bad friends, and bad, like, as a consequence of bad friends, bad addictions, bad habits. And, I think in her mind, she thought she could change me, because she was such a good girl, she thought she could change me. But unfortunately, if you can't change yourself, the girlfriend or your girl's not going to be able to change you. So I came into that relationship with the wrong mindset, not fixing myself before I was looking for love. I thought love would fix that, and boy, I was fucking wrong, yeah? So fast forward a couple of years into that relationship, my drug use got bad. I started using every 3 days, and I started having run-ins with the law. I got raided once. The cops came looking for a firearm in my house, and this was not the type of person I was, to be raided or anything like that. Like, I wasn't a drug dealer. Like, I have sold drugs before in the past, like, just to make quick, easy money. I'm not gonna lie, but I did get raided by like a SWAT team. They came and raided my house and pointed guns at me, and I had to came looking for firearms, and completely turned my fucking place upside down and found nothing. And you'd think I'd learn, and at that stage, my girlfriend at the time was with me, and she was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what have you done? And I'm like, nothing. I've literally done nothing. So the cops didn't find any firearms. I don't need to carry fucking firearms. I'm not that I'm not that deep into what I was affiliated with, but I was associated with different people. But I don't know what happened. They came with a search warrant, they raided my house, found nothing, and yeah, I just had to go to I went to the police station, just dramas after that. And then you would have thought I learnt my lesson, but no, as my drug use got bad, my anger got very bad, like certain things would really piss me off, and I would I was just like a fucker. I was not fit for society towards the end of that relationship with that girl. And at this point, I was like in my early 30s and getting arrested multiple times by the police. My car would be flagged. Cops would find, they found nothing drugs in my car, like small amounts, but my car would be flagged. So every time I drive my vehicle, they would get me out of the car, search me for like half an hour, and like you'd just be there like I guess you could call it like a piece of shit on the side of the road, handcuffed while they searched my car. And every time they ran my number plates, they'd pull me over. I had to go through that for a good fucking 3 years, and it was just so fucking traumatizing because every time I'm with my girlfriend who's innocent, I get arrested, she has to go through this bullshit, and yeah, it just went like that. It was just like a really loving relationship and me living a double life relationship, which caused her to see my bad side, and she just saw I was a fucking mess, and she tried so much to change me, but unfortunately, external people can't change you unless you're ready to fucking change. So what caused me to change in my life of my spiral of addictions, I was at breaking point of my life. Like, I almost wanted to end my fucking life. Like, I actually wanted to end my life because I just felt like, I've been brought up in this life. I'm now this person. I never planned on being someone who was fucking addicted and dependent on drugs that were so strong. It was taking over my life and I was losing control. So I fucking wanted to end my life. Like, I literally just wanted to fucking end my life. But miraculously at this point, I can't pronounce that word properly, I apologize, but towards sort of the end of COVID, or during midst of COVID, I went through probably my most eye-awakening moment, and I had a run-in with a couple of guys when we were driving, like a road rage incident where they basically tailgated me and started beating me. I don't know how it started. I was on like no sleep from like a come down, and I felt threatened, and I just went in like a Grand Theft Auto mindset, and literally like there were two of them in the car. It was just me by myself, and I just thought, fuck, they're gonna try and like attack me because they gave me the finger and they started yelling all this shit, and I got so pissed off. So like we came to a lights, like a train station intersection, and they were on this side, I was on this side. We came to the red light. Before we hit the red light, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna fucking tolerate this bullshit. Just in case they try to hit me, I'm gonna get them first. So I pulled my car up like this. Okay, I jumped out of the vehicle and just started laying into the driver, and there was a passenger in there. So I knew I had to take out the driver first. That way, if the passenger fucking gets out the car, it's gonna be 2-on-1. They might kick my fucking head in, I don't know. So I got the driver first, smashed him really fucking bad, battered up his eye socket. Like, I'm not proud when I say this, I'm not glorifying this in any way. What I did was completely fucking stupid, and I just remember like him just completely bleeding, him completely bleeding, and the passenger didn't want a bar of it. He didn't get out of the fucking car. He shit his pants. He stayed in there, and after hitting this guy, I left the scene. I fucked him up, left the scene, and drove off. And little did I know there was cameras right above me. I was at a train station intersection. Like me, the idiot, wasn't thinking, because as I said, I was coming down from drugs. And I remember I got a phone call from the police about 2 weeks later. Okay, so they could see my number plates on the car. This guy had ran to the police station, fucking told the police that I assaulted him, I don't know if I think he was trying to get a compensation for what I did to his face. He thought he could probably get money out of it. But yeah, he went to the police station, he filed a complaint against me, say I battered him, and I was on the run from the cops like after I did that, because I knew in my head after I hit him, there's so many cameras there that I'm completely fucked. And this was in broad daylight. This was like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. There was a few cars behind. Like I just didn't care. I just saw red and just acted on emotion, and then just completely like had to pay the consequence in the end. But more or less, he went to the police. The police were after me. I was on the run. I would not, they call on like private numbers. So like I would never answer any private numbers. I knew it was the cops trying to ring me. And I remember the cop messaging me saying, you better fucking, this is what he says, his exact words were something like this: you better fucking hand yourself in, Mr. Hereth. If you don't, we're gonna come looking for you. Okay, I'm gonna make this really uneasy for you. I'm gonna make this very uncomfortable. We're gonna come to your workplace. Because at that point, I had like a commercial cleaning business, and I was also working in sales part-time. So like I was still working even though I was like a complete mental mess. And I started getting paranoid, thinking, fuck, he's gonna come to my work, my boss is gonna know, and then I'm gonna lose my job, right? I still ignored him. I was like, fuck this. So I just kept ignoring him, and I was living at a different address. So like if you wanted to find me, you wouldn't be able to find me. Like my license had one address and I was staying at another address. So I was staying there, laying low at this time. And I remember this vividly. I was at this park once, like probably a couple of weeks after the copper fucking messaged my phone, and I was cleaning my car. I was going to sell that car that I was involved in that road rage incident with, and I was cleaning my car. I was about to put it on like advertise, I was taking photos of it, of every angle. It was nice and clean. I was going to put it on this website and sell it. And as I was taking photos like of the rear of the car, I hear this car slowly creeping in, and I didn't want to turn my head straight away, so I just kept cleaning, doing my thing. And that car came really close, like behind me, and I was just like, I turn around and look, and you just see 2 officers get out of the car, police officers. They run my plates, ask for my license. Obviously at that point I got to fucking give them my license. I give them my license. They're like, we've been looking for you for a while. You need to accompany us to the police station. So I had to go to the Oakley police station in Melbourne, and the constable that was texting me was there. And funny enough, like he was actually nice in person, but he was like, look, we need to close this fucking case, man. Like it's actually going too long and we've been looking for you. So I had to do an interview. No commented the whole interview through. And after this, I called my lawyer. God bless my lawyer. I called her and I said, I really need your fucking help. I've got this case. And she jumped on board. She helped me. And during that cop police interview, I could see photos of the person that I hit, and his face was completely fucked up. His eye socket was fucked. He had blood there because he went in the police station and they took photos as evidence, right? So he showed me the photos. I just no commented the way through, and then spoke to my lawyer and I said, look, this is exactly what happened. She's like, was there cameras? I'm like, yep. She goes, okay, you're gonna have to prove, like you're gonna have to say that you did it, because if you say you're not guilty, she's like, they're gonna run the cameras, and once they run the cameras and have to spend all that time getting camera footage and so forth, you're gonna be fucked, yeah? And I said, all right, let's just plead guilty, it is what it is. And then I'm like, is there a possibility I might have to go to jail? And she's like, look, it's rare, you might have to go to jail, okay, after doing this. Like we don't know, depending on the judge and so forth, but lucky you don't have too much priors on you, okay? So like it should be okay, and I was like, all right, sweet. So anyway, went to court, faced the music with the judge, okay, pleaded guilty, and he basically gave me a reckless assault charge, okay? And I've got a criminal record as a result to that, which I completely accept because it was my fault and my stupidity. And I just remember at this point in my life, I'm just like, fuck, it's only gonna go 2 ways, man. If I keep using drugs and keep fucking band-aiding issues, I'm going to end up in prison or I'm going to end up dead. Yeah. And it was this moment in my life where I looked at myself in the fucking mirror and I was just like, enough is enough, man. I don't want, and I just remember breaking down, like I completely broke down. I was like, I need help, you know, and I was just like, fuck, I'm going to change my life around, because I was like, I don't even know this person that I'm looking at in the mirror, like this ugly fucking person who looks like, you know, I didn't look healthy. I looked really fucking skinny. I looked fucked up and I didn't look healthy. Like, and I was at breaking point. I was just like, fuck this. I'm going to change my life around. Watch. So at that point, I literally gave myself 12 months or 6 to 12 months. I fucking turned my life around completely, you know, completely fucking turned my life around. I stopped using the heavy drugs. You know, I did smoke a bit of weed just to like help me with anxiety and falling asleep, but completely stopped the heavy drugs, started meditating, started journaling, started connecting with the universe or God, and started to feel like so much different feelings. And I knew, okay, cool, if I can change my life around in 6 months to 12 months, like completely, without any rehab, without any help, then I'm going to help others, and this will be my purpose and mission in life, where I can give back. Yeah. So fast forward through that 6 to 12 month period, which was, you know, it wasn't easy, but I cut out all circle of friends from my life and I was just completely alone. I started training in the gym. I started eating good food, because I know I poisoned the inside of my body for so long. I had to try my best to, you know, because when you do upper drugs, you shorten your lifespan, okay? So I knew that, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna do everything I can to change my life around and live as long as possible and live as healthy for the remaining years of life that I have left, and just be the best person I can. So I stemmed back to why I was playing such a mental victim mindset and why I was band-aiding all my issues like a selfish dickhead. And it came down to me always blaming my father for my upbringing, because I'd always have so much resentment in my 20s for my father, going like, you fucked me up, like you fucked our family up. Like as I was on drugs, I became more verbally abusive to my father, and it's like I hated him, like I had a hate towards him, and I'm like, this is no way to live. So what I did was, how I completely forgave my father, okay, I sat down with him and, you know, built my connection again with him, and just found out about his early childhood, and found out that he was grown up in a household which was with no love. His father was, I guess, like a narcissist, and he would just have kids and not father them all. He would just like, yeah, he was just, and my dad kind of ran away from home, but my dad didn't fix his issues growing up, and he decided to form an addiction with alcohol. He's been drinking for a long time. I think now he's stopped drinking, but I knew my dad had pain inside him that he never resulted to fix. But as a result of his pain and him not fixing his problems, he then created a tornado of pain within and trauma within our family growing up, because he didn't fix his problems. And I was like, I'm fucking not going to be like this person. I'm not going to ruin my kid's life, my future kids' lives, those people that I love around me, like girlfriends and so forth. I'm not going to be that fucking person. No fucking chance. Yeah. So I understood that my dad was just not willing to change as a person. Okay. And he has decided to stay like this. Like, you know, he didn't apologize, you know, to my sister, my mother, for being the way he was. I don't know, call it old school mentality, I'm not sure, but either way, he's living a life that's, I feel sorry for my father in a way. I feel sorry for him because he's never overcome his own pain, and he's thrown that pain on us. And I still forgive him, because if I can't forgive my father for what he's done, I'm going to then result in having addictions in my life and so much pain and burden, and I'm going to reflect that on other people and just be a mess. Yeah. So I forgave my father, and ever since I forgave him, and you know, I love him to this day. Like, I'm not here to talk bad about him or anything like that. I'm just trying to open up and be honest about my upbringing and my story, and how my story led to addictions, and how it nearly led to me taking my own life, and how it nearly led to me going to prison. And I completely changed my life around within 12 months. And I'm here, and I'm so happy and grateful that I'm here to tell the story. And yeah, I've forgiven my father. I've been able to move on mentally from that, And I'm so grateful. Everyone has their own, everyone has their own story, their unique story with addictions. And, this is mine. And if anything, the whole message I have from this story, because right now in my life, I'm the most happiest, I'm the most healthiest, I'm the most fittest, I'm the most shredded. Like, I'm in the most shredded point of my life, like low body fat. Like, I've done challenges. If you haven't watched, I kicked a habit of weed that I had for like 8 years. And that's why I stay so positive. Like, a lot of people might think, well, how is he so positive when he does these challenges and so forth? It's because I've gone through fucking mental trauma that nearly ended with me taking my fucking life, okay? And I blame myself for this, for not fixing my issues earlier in life. But I was just a lost kid with the wrong role models. And the whole reason why I do this content is I want to be the right role model to others who are struggling or facing, bad mental health, bad habits, bad addictions. And just know, man, it's not too fucking late to change this shit around. Yeah, it's not too fucking late. Like, after you listening to my story, I'm sure you can change your life around. You might have it worse than me. I'm not judging. I'm not saying anything like that. We all have our unique story. But by saying this story, it's never too late to change. And if I can inspire and be the right role model for those around the world, then I'm happy, man. That just brings me fucking joy, yeah? So if this story resonates with you in any way, like, as I'm being as authentic and genuine as possible, just share this story with someone that could help someone. Like, more or less, just spread the love. Share this story that could help someone who's battling addictions. You yourself might not be battling addictions, but you might know a friend or a family member who might be. Show them my story, man. Like, and if they want to reach out to me, if you want to reach out to me and you want it to be private, you don't want anyone to see on YouTube, add me on Instagram, send me a private DM. Like, I speak to a couple of boys on Instagram who are going through issues, and I just fucking, like, I don't charge money, man. I fucking help them, give them advice, like, from my own heart, because I know what that fucking feels like. Once you walk through pain yourself and it come through on the other side, you know what it's like, yeah? And you can give this sort of advice. So I want you to be comfortable with me, to talk to me, and by me being vulnerable and exposing my upbringing and what I've been through, I just hope you can trust me. And yeah, just know that it's never too fucking late to change. Yeah, so yeah, I'll end this video there, because look, it's been going for about 40 odd minutes, but as I said, I haven't been reading off a script. It's just purely coming out from my heart. And yeah, I just if you like the story, just give it a like. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, because as you subscribe and comment and like, all these videos, it just keeps the fire burning. It just brings happiness to me, because I don't get happiness out of materialistic objects anymore. I've lived a life like that. I get joy and happiness out of inspiring and helping others and being the right role model. So if you resonate with my story, cool. If you don't, all right, that's fine. I can't help everyone in this world, but if I can help one person and inspire and help anyone, then fuck, man, it just brings joy and happiness and almost tears to my eyes. So I'm gonna end this video here, as this is a long one, but hope you enjoyed the video, and just know it's never too late to change, and you've got this, brother. Peace.